Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Welcome all of you here to the Philip Morris R&D Cube here in Neuchâtel in Switzerland for the launch of the 2019 Ducati MotoGP team. Also, a big welcome to those of you who are watching through the magic of the internet around the world. Thanks for joining us here. It has been a beautiful day here in the heart of Europe, on the banks of Lake Neuchâtel that we can just see outside of the window here. My name's Gavin Emmett, and I've been broadcasting on MotoGP for nearly 20 seasons now, which makes me feel old, I have to say. But I'm sure, like you, still get excited at the start of another MotoGP season. And I've just get that itch to go racing, don't we? You know what? It is exactly 2 months ago since the final race of 2018. Who can forget that in Valencia? Awful conditions on that day, but it was a glorious victory, wasn't it, for Dovi and Ducati? And it seems so long ago now, and we're here now to kick off 2019 already, ready to fire those Bologna bullets off for what should be another epic year of MotoGP action. As you'll only know too well, MotoGP is the pinnacle of motorcycle racing. And for Ducati, it's the crowning jewel in their racing portfolio. Now, in the next 45 minutes or so that we're going to be up here on stage, you are going to meet a whole team of people who are working behind the scenes to bring that title back to Bologna this season. Of course, Ducati have finished the last 2 seasons as runners-up in the MotoGP World Championship, and in that time, taking 13 Grand Prix victories along the way. We're going to meet up here on stage some of the engineers and brains behind the 2019 Desmosedici, the managers as well who are leading the charge for their team. Of course, you know what's under here. The 2019 machines, of course, will unveil what is a stunning new livery for the team. And of course, we're going to meet the riders. I'm sure you're excited about meeting them up here on stage as well. They're the ones, of course, who will be putting it all out on track this season. But to kick things off, I want to start by introducing a man who is making PMI's vision a reality with his R&D team here at the Cube in Switzerland and all over the world as well. He's the President of Science and Innovation at Philip Morris International. So please give a warm welcome to Mr. Mirek Zielinski.
Thank you, David.
Good evening, Mirek. Thanks for being here.
Good evening, and good evening to everybody. Welcome to everybody. A special welcome to all our guests, but also to those who are watching us through internet. And probably some of you, if not most of you, might be wondering why we are here and what we are doing in Cube. So let me explain you what Cube is. Cube is kind of a home of our research and development department for Philip Morris. But probably more importantly, Cube is also the heart of our innovation and of our way of thinking. And it encompasses the work of more than 400 scientists and engineers and experts in different fields of science who are relentlessly working on transforming our company, but not only our company. They are working on transforming the entire industry. They're finding solutions which are based on facts and science to improve the existing products and provide people with better solutions than the one they used to experience for many years. They are harnessing the scientific power which we build in this building. They are harnessing technological solutions and knowledge which we have in order to come with the products and solutions for humans, which are better. And they are discarding old solutions, and they are focusing on new. They are not afraid of stepping into space when the new technologies, new innovations have to be identified and communicated. And more importantly, they are doing it every day. They're working very hard. And this is why the concept of Mission Winnow was built in this building. Winnowing, in the traditional sense of separating wheat from chaff, in separating good from bad, in desired from undesirable, in desire from what we want, from what we don't want, is practiced every day in this building. And we are very much inspired by Ducati Corsa as well. We are very much inspired by our many years of collaboration and partnership. And today we are opening a new era in this partnership after all these years. We are opening the era of Mission Winnow and Ducati being together, of Ducati joining Mission Winnow and Mission Winnow joining Ducati. We are inspired by the way Ducati works and the way Ducati behaves and acts in every race, trying to find solutions, but also as a company with innovation, technology, and design, aiming at producing products which are providing safer, more reliable, and better bikes for consumers. When we think about what Ducati is and what Mission Winnow is, and who we are and where it comes from, this match is just wonderful. And I have to say I'm very emotional today because this is the beginning of the journey, this whole concept which we are trying to tell people how much we believe in the power of passion which Philip Morris people have and the power of passion which people in Ducati Corsa has. It's telling me that we are opening something which in years might be seen as the beginning of something big and something new. So thank you, Ducati. Thank you to the entire team. Thank you to all of you for joining something which I believe will be transformational, like we are trying to transform the industry. Thank you for joining Mission Winnow Ducati. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you very much, Mirek.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And thanks, of course, as well for hosting us here at theCUBE today. Now, it's time to introduce another charismatic leader who's at the top of the tree as CEO of Ducati Motor Holding. I'm not sure there's anyone out there, actually, who invokes as much passion for motorcycling as he does. Please give a warm welcome onto the stage for Mr. Claudio Domenicali. Great to see you, Claudio. Thanks for being here with us this evening.
Thanks, Gavin, and big thank you for every one of you being here. It's a big pleasure and a big honor to kind of be introduced with a so wide introduction. And before everything, let me just say that I'm very proud of being this fantastic cube. You know, it's the first time we make a presentation of the team together in a place which is a kind of a place of our title partner, Philip Morris, and I want to thank Mirek really very much for hosting us here and hosting all of you in this place.
Thanks for being here as well, Claudio, because you've been there since Ducati entered MotoGP in 2003, when there was that change in regulations to allow four-stroke engines to enter into the championship. So, to this day, what are the reasons behind such an important and non-stop commitment to this championship?
Yeah, definitely. It's a very hard work. It's a very strong commitment, and for sure, it's our strongest marketing tool. It's the way in which we make our brand and the value of our brand, style, sophistication, and performance, more than everything, to be known worldwide. But more than everything, it's kind of looking for the future and research and technology. And I think that here in kind of 50 meters from here, there is the new Panigale R, which in my opinion is one of the single product you can buy in all the motorcycle industry, which is closest to a racing bike. And so for us, racing means developing new concept, moving the boundary. All the engineers of Gigi Dall'Igna make an exceptional job in kind of knowing the unknown. There is nothing you can study. There is no one book in which you can study what they're doing. And actually, we are learning every day. And everything we are doing, then we revert, in the vast majority, into the bike that we sell to our customer, our passionate customer. And that's the single most important part of our commitment.
And as a company, Ducati, shall we say, is medium-sized. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's fair.
And you're competing against some industrial giants, really, that are producing millions of motorcycles a year, and you compete successfully as well. So in terms of economic resources, what do you need to compete against these giants?
Yeah, the question is that if you ask Gigi Dall'Igna, which will come in a while, you will ask that you need a lot. So it's a kind of an expensive guy. But we are lucky in one way because we have good and passionate customer. We are a solid company with very good product, and so we can sustain that. But we would never be able to do at the level we are doing without the support of all our partners, many of which are in this room that I want to thank directly, starting from our main partner and title partner, which is Philip Morris, which is hosting us. And let me just take the occasion also to remind a very important new joining of the team, which is a main sponsor, which is Audi Sport, that I want to welcome directly. Audi is our mother company, and since this year, as we will see, Audi Sport has a prominent position in the supporters of the team. So, and Audi and Ducati shares a lot of common value, and especially Audi Sport, which is a lot about sophistication, performance, like Ducati.
Claudio, you've been present at so many of these team presentations throughout the years, but I don't know, is there a common thread that unites them all, that runs all the way through?
Yeah, I think every year it's kind of similar in one way and very different. We have different people, often different riders, but there is for sure something which is linking all together. The first MotoGP presentation was back in 2003, and I think if I have to identify only one point, is the passion of the people that work in the project, and the passion of the people that back home are supporting us, our fan, our clubs, our dealer, our partner. Actually, all together, we create a group of incredible, passionate people. And in the good and the bad moment, racing is about that. Sometimes you win, and there is an incredible energy. And sometimes it's very difficult. Maybe a couple of races difficult, or maybe a couple of seasons. And actually, the strength of this group have been being together in the good and bad point. And I have to thank all the supporters of Ducati, really, because this is making us the energy to create the possibility to think for the future.
Claudio, I think the passion comes from the top as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Claudio Domenicali.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. When someone speaks about racing like Claudio does, you know it's in their blood. You know that racing is a part of the fabric, the DNA, really, of Ducati. But something that he mentioned there as well, that everyone works as a team. There are moments of being up and moments of being down as well. Last year at the MotoGP level, Ducati celebrated 7 victories, 7 pole positions alongside as well, and a total of 14 podium finishes across an 18-round season, 19, of course, with 1 missing. But like in any emotional roller coaster of a racing season, as Claudio said, there were some glorious highs, but there were a few desperate lows as well. Yeah, we would like to just take a moment to remember, you saw at the end there, Silvio Sangalli of course, who was the Ducati MotoGP team coordinator, who sadly passed away just a month ago now. And from the whole Ducati family, our thoughts are with Silvio's family and friends. Now, I'd like to welcome up here onto stage the man who we saw quite a lot there in that video, and he's charged with masterminding Ducati's assault on the crown this season. And it's been his innovation and outside-the-box thinking over recent years that have been critical to the successes that Ducati have enjoyed. So please give a round of applause to the general manager at Ducati Corse, Mr. Luigi Dall'Igna. Great to have you up here, Gigi. Thanks for being us. Good evening.
Good evening and warm welcome to everybody.
Yeah, it's we've seen some shots though of last year up there, and it's been exactly 2 months, as I said at the start, since the end of 2018, Gigi, and that victory for Dovi back in Valencia. With a winter and a couple of months now to reflect on the 2018 season, how would you sum up that year?
The 2008 was for sure another important year for the Ducati MotoGP. A year where saw us grow and improve again for the 4th year in a row, both from a technical and sporting point of view. In fact, we were very competitive, and in some cases even protagonists on tracks that have traditionally been more difficult for us. And on those where we were already competitive, we continue to be competitive. From the point of view of the number of victories and podium achieved, we improved on our 2017 total. We also won with more riders, and even those riders that didn't win, they did really good race with the Ducati. So, was for sure a great year. The only problem of the last season is we cannot keep the championship open until the last stage in Valencia, like we did in 2007. And this is a sign that even our direct competitors have improved.
So, Gigi, what are the Ducati doing then to make it even better in 2019?
It's simple. We must do better and improve more than we have done in the recent years, trying to bring ideas that can effectively increase the competitiveness of our project. We have already begun to test it in the Caress test, immediately after to find out a good starting point with the new bike in the Valencia after race. We will refine this idea in Sepang, while in Qatar, immediately before the opening race of the season, we will test as usual the new fairing. The evolution cover all the area, aerodynamics, chassis, electronics, and for sure also the engine is updated with more horsepower.
Which I'm sure some of your rivals won't be pleased to hear. How have the regulation changes for this season affected your preparations?
The regulation have changed in 2 areas. The first being the electronics, with the introduction of the unique IMU and a more restrictive electric scheme. But from this point of view, I expected a substantial equivalence in performance between the 2 systems. From the aerodynamic point of view, the 2019 regulation are certainly more restrictive, both because they prevent the modularity of the fairing, that means the possibilities to apply or remove parts on the fairing, and also because they further restrict the size of the whole fairing. I expect that the aerodynamic load will be slightly lower in the 2018 bike. However, I hope that after having changed the aerodynamic regulation for 2 years in a row, now we have arrived at the stability of rules that is the only possible cost saving in MotoGP.
And of course, we know this year you've got a fantastic pair of riders who are going to be out on track. One who's in his 7th year with Ducati now, and the other who's been promoted from a Ducati factory-supported squad as well. So that's great news.
Yeah, one of the things we have definitely changed is for sure the rider strategy. We have chosen to move from 2 riders who independently think for each other, acting their own own interest, regardless of the good of the team, to a system that, if possible, tended to optimize the overall result of the team. I'm not talking about team orders, but I'm talking about the synergy in the development of the bike and in the setup of the bike during the race weekend.
And Andrea Dovizioso has challenged for the title over the last 2 years. You and he have a good working relationship now, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. Andrea has been Ducati since before my arrival in Ducati. So he knows very well all the people and our way of working. And I would like to underline that the continuity is one of the most important things in our world, in the racing world. He did some great races last year, like in Doha, like in Brno, in Misano, and even in Valencia. Mm-hmm. But above all, he has finished second in the last 2 World Championships, and he has the determination to do better. And this is what we want to do all together.
It'll be exciting to see what he manages. And Danilo Petrucci, of course you know him well. He's been in the Ducati family, but what have you seen so far from him in the factory team?
Danilo has an important story with Ducati. He has been with us since 2015. He did many great races and have podium with us. He didn't win any race, but this has to be his main target for the 2019. Together with the possibility to fight for the podium in all the races.
Yeah, it'd be great if he could manage that consistently. I feel a bit silly asking it, but is there any doubt what the aim is for Ducati this year?
The goal we have is the same for some years now, and is to fight for the World Championship. For sure, we are not favorites, but we will really try much harder to make the 2019 a wonderful year for all the Ducatisti.
Gigi, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gigi Dall'Igna.
Thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Gigi. Now, of course, while Gigi might spearhead the MotoGP project, there are lots and lots of engineers and technicians who work tirelessly throughout the whole year, but especially over this period, over the winter, to ensure that Ducati isn't caught flat-footed and continues to push on with technological advances that will set the motorcycle apart this season. So, something new this year. We thought we'd invite up onto the stage 2 of the men who are the brains behind the beast, and they could explain a little bit more than any of us could about the bike that will compete this season. So please welcome up onto the stage Ducati Corse Technical Director Davide Barana and the Aerodynamic Development Engineer Edoardo Lenocci.
Hi, Glenn.
Great to see you, Davide.
Good evening. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Edoardo. And this is something new that we've got this year, trying to bring you a few of the people who really are the brains behind the bike. Let's move over to one side, Edoardo, because we have got a few slides ready to come up here up on stage. As I mentioned, Davide Barana here is the technical director at Ducati Corse. And when people think Ducati, they think about the engine, don't they always? Tell me something about it, because generally you've done okay in this field, haven't you?
Engine has always been a strength of Ducati since the beginning of the GP project. And from there onward, we have always increased the power of the engine, except the era when by regulation the total displacement was reduced, of course.
So how do you go about achieving that and constantly improving?
This achievement is a result of several factors. I would say first, the passion of our work that reached the peak when we are talking about engine. But it's not only passion. It's the possibility to count with on exceptional development group with very high professional skills, together with a wide range of development tools that are state of art. I'm talking about test bench, laboratory, engineering, software. I also want to add that today's results are also based on our long tradition, our technical heritage, together with a very positive and innovative approach to the development process.
You talk about that approach, and I'm sure there's lots of journalists around here wanting to know the secrets behind the success. Can you tell us something a bit more about how in practice you actually work?
Okay. Mainly the development process is circular. We start from the beginning, we collect ideas from the whole development team, put them on the table, and try to evaluate better by means of a simulation software. The more promising pass to the second phase. There is the proper design phase, when we start to interact also with manufacturers for the manufacturing of the parts. When parts arrive in-house, finally, we can test it on bench for reliability and performance assessment. And then, of course, if everything goes well, they go on track for the final assessment.
That's the whole process of getting the bikes out on track. Now, of course, I mentioned the engine, but part of that is Ducati is synonymous with the innovative solution that is the Desmo valve train, isn't it?
Yeah, Desmodrome valve train, Desmo, as we call.
Yeah.
Is a uniqueness of Ducati, and is a very nice example of how our values can be found also in a technical solution. Valve trains are essential for achieve performance in the engine. They provide the movement of the valve. The most common system in use are the cam and spring. That there is a cam that provides the opening stroke of the mechanism, and then the back stroke is provided by the spring. But because a racing engine had to have very high to achieve high level power, springs are no longer available, are unable to keep this movement, and also it tends to break. So with Desmo, we have solved in a very clever way the problem by eliminating the spring, replace it with a second mechanism that mirror the opening one and work together with it. So the idea is really simple, but of course, it's not so simple. It needs a lot of dedication to make it work in a so extreme environment. So I can summarize that Desmo is an example of how an alternative and innovative approach can pay back. Of course, it needs dedication, never give up approach. But once you get it, for sure we can say to have an advantage.
Yeah, you mentioned there about the innovation, and I think we should bring forward Eduardo Lenocci, who's Ducati Corse's aerodynamic development engineer, and in terms of technical solutions on its racing bikes, Ducati has been innovative, hasn't it, over the years? So what has changed in terms of the consideration for aerodynamics at Ducati?
Well, when I started to work in Ducati almost more than 6 years ago, my background experience was based in Formula One, on aerodynamics, or automotive aerodynamics, especially racing cars. So if you consider, for example, Formula One, as you can see from during the races, there is a lot of money invested in aerodynamics development. What we learned from that word and transferred to my experience here in Ducati was a different approach in terms, for example, of using specific tools, so identifying correcting tools and using them in a proper way. If you consider even aerodynamics and vehicle dynamics together, the cooperation of both these two areas is very helpful for us in understanding and in judging all the different configuration we are testing and we are investigating while developing the bike.
Just come forward a sec, so we've got you in the light. You mentioned tools there,
Yes.
specific tools that Ducati are using. So what are the specific tools that help you find the solution for MotoGP?
Well, for example, we introduced massive use of CFD, which is the computational fluid dynamics. That means the mathematical simulation of what happens around the bike in terms of aerodynamics. In the past, we used to develop bikes in a wind tunnel.
Yeah.
So we used a full-scale model made up of actual existing components, spare parts coming from existing bikes, for example. By using the CFD, there are a couple of advantages. For example, I can tell you, on one side, the huge amount of data coming out from simulation helps the engineers to understand with deep knowledge what happens on the bike in terms of aerodynamics. Because in the wind tunnel you cannot see pressure distribution or streamlines or stress distributions on the surface of the bike, while you have distance CFD. So when you go in the wind tunnel, you just do optimization work, which is as important as developing new concepts. And on the other side, you don't have to wait for existing parts to be mounted on the bike as a model. So you can start your development quite earlier than before.
Yeah, so we can see some of the things that you've been doing with that computational fluid dynamic system. What do you think about your MotoGP competitors in terms of their aerodynamic development? Is that a cheeky question? I don't know. Yeah. Do you think they've been able to catch up and close the gap on Ducati?
Well, if you had a look a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, if you had a look at a starting grid during the GP races, you can see all the bodyworks of our competitors. They look like quite similar between each other, and maybe they haven't even changed that through years, maybe a few of them. Why in the recent couple of years, for example, a lot of aerodynamic details started to be mounted even on our competitors' bikes, so strange appendages and stuff like that, and even depending on the rider. So on one side, I can tell you that we are happy about that because we started in the very beginning and maybe we were right in doing that and investing money and time on that. And on the other side, this is also motivating for ourselves because it gives you the pressure to push a little bit forward the level of development and new ideas to come.
And heading into the future, we've heard about regulation changes, these kind of things from Gigi. What are the aerodynamics challenges and how are you going to deal with them?
Well, as Gigi mentioned before, the regulations have been changed in the last few years in terms of what was available and possible in terms of making new aerodynamics. For sure, as engineers, we would like that these kind of changes would have been aimed at improving performance, but sometimes this is not the case. So it's just a matter of reducing and limiting, for example, for cost reductions, as it happened before. But my opinion is that there are so many areas to be explored in terms of aerodynamics, and in any case, our methodologies we're going to use will be the same and will allow to take the chance to face these challenges no matter wherever it comes from.
We look forward to seeing what innovations you come up with. Eduardo, Davide, ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a round of applause for that fascinating insight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask Eduardo and Davide to stay with us up here on the stage. We're going to take, in the meantime, just a quick look behind the scenes at the preparations going on ahead of the 2019 MotoGP season. Well, you got a little bit of but yeah, I think it deserves that. That's what's been going on to get the riders here today, and it's time to meet them now. They are the men tasked with taking the Desmosedici to the pinnacle of MotoGP. One of them is Ducati's second most successful rider now in MotoGP, 10 victories over the last 2 seasons. And this season, he has a new teammate in the squad, and he's been promoted from the factory-supported team at Pramac. Please welcome this year's Mission Winnow Ducati riders, Andrea Dovizioso and Danilo Petrucci. Ciao, Dovi. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Danilo, and welcome to be here with us. There you have them. Andrea Dovizioso alongside me, be running a 0-4 this year, and Danilo Petrucci here in the full new Mission Winnow Ducati colours. But do you know what? Before we speak to the two riders, I think we all know what you want to see out there. I think it's time, fellas, if you go over to your bikes and we unveil them for everyone who is waiting to see them. So, Dovi, I think your bike will be on the left, and Danilo, your bike is on the right, and we've got Davide and Eduardo ready to help you. So, if you want to make your way over to the, ladies and gentlemen, the presentation of the 2019 Mission Winnow Ducati machine.
That's it. That's it.
Well, I'm glad we got a round of applause, first of all. People obviously like it. Dovi, I'm going to ask you, first of all, what do you make of your brand new livery for 2019?
Well, every year I say the same things. It's nicer and nicer, and this year is even nicer. And I feel good with the bike. When I look at all this red, I love this bike, for sure.
And Danilo, I'll ask you about it, because you get to wear full factory colours for the first time. They tell me a bike that looks good is a fast bike. Do you agree?
It's both, because it's very, very fast and very nice and very, very red. And I like it.
And we like seeing you in those colours as well. It's great to have you here with us. Dovi, we mentioned it just before when we introduced you, 10 victories over the past couple of seasons and 2 silver medals in the bag. So how are you going to make that silver medal gold this year?
It's difficult to win. But in the last 2 years, we finished second with a really nice season. 2 completely different seasons. 2 years ago, we fight until the last round. Last year, unfortunately, no. But at the end, I'm really happy about last year, because it was a bit of up and down. I did some mistake. This is an important experience to make something better this year. But I think we understood a lot of things during the season. From Borno, in the middle of the season, as Valencia, we did a lot of points. We fight every race for victory, almost every race. So really happy about the feeling I have with the bike. I know a lot about the engineer inside of Ducati. So all is good. I'm really, really happy, really comfortable, and I think we can fight really for the championship.
And what about testing? Because obviously you tested a version of the bike at the end of last year, Valencia and Jerez. You go to Sepang in, 2 weeks' time, more or less. How excited are you about kicking off the 2019 challenge there?
I'm really excited, because this season is a bit different for me. I feel better than last year. More confidence. For sure, every year is a different story. But the feeling at the end of the season, in the last 2 tests, was really good. We tried some new part of the bike, and already our speed was good. In Sepang, we will have a full new bike, so I'm really happy. I'm confident. I think our level from the beginning can be really good. From that, we have to build again something more. I think we will have a lot of material to try during the first 2 tests before the season start. But overall, I'm really, really excited for this season.
We're excited to see you out there as well, challenging for victories yet again at Ducati. And alongside Dovi this year, a brand new teammate, of course, very familiar with Ducati. How excited are you about testing the bike again? Because obviously you rode it at the end of last year, and you know this is yours. This is your full factory machine.
Was already exciting in Valencia. The first time we went out from the pit, I was it's like now my heart is beating quite strong, but I like Andrea. I feel good. I feel not relaxed, but conscious and focused, because I know I have a quite clear mind. I'm doing my work during this winter, and I'm really looking forward to go to Sepang, because last year was not a good race, but I think Andrea and me can make a very, very good work together. I can only learn from him, and I hope to give back some help during the year.
You mentioned training there and also the teamwork with Dovi. I've seen you've been out motocrossing, you've been training together out there. How much are you looking forward to working as teammates with Dovi?
Dovi has been always a target for me since the first time I joined the Ducati family. I always looking his data and trying to ride like him. And I'm really, really happy to work with him, because he's very, very clever. And I always say that Dovi is first a great guy, then a great rider. And I think we can follow our target. We can pursue our target. We have maybe two different ones, but I think we need one each other to reach.
Hey, and you mentioned targets there actually. What results would satisfy you this year?
My target is to be satisfied at the end of the season. It's not easy.
And what would that be then? Easy. How are we going to get there?
It's not. It's really hard to say in this moment of the season, but for sure I want to be this status as a factory rider for many years, and yeah, there is right on the fairing. We have a mission.
And you accept it. Ladies and gentlemen, our mission Winnow Ducati riders, Danilo Petrucci and Andrea Dovizioso. Now, Danilo mentioned the mission. Mission Winnow is not a product logo. It's a campaign and a message about striving to improve, as we heard from Mirek earlier on. Now, we're going to meet the man behind the design of the Mission Winnow logo. He's an Italian designer and an architect. So please welcome up onto stage Mr. Fabio Novembre. Hi, Fabio.
Hi, Gavin.
Thanks so much for joining us up here. And
thank you, guys.
This logo that we can see up there and on the side of the bikes, it's your creation. Just tell us about how you came about this design.
You know, giving birth to an idea is designing a logo. You know, it's really, it's basically you have to synthesize all the values in it. You know, we were started from two words. One is mission, the other is winnow. You know, mission is something that, according to me, transcends individuality. You know, we always think about me, myself, I want to do things. I mean, mission is something that puts us all together. You know, it's something that we all share. It's a common view in some ways. And we know, of course, I mean, it's an old word, but it's a very wise and meaningful word. As Mirek was saying, it's dividing the good from the bad, the needed from the unneeded. It's the process of getting older, it's getting wiser in some ways, right? And so putting the two things together, it's a force itself. It's such a strong force itself. And we know that in physics, a force is a vector. And the vector has got a magnitude, and we can feel the magnitude from this place. I mean, this is a research center in which they really make a difference. So the magnitude is given from the strength of the research center. And there is a direction. Any vector has got a direction. So I would say that our logo is a vector toward a better future in some ways.
Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, the designer of the Mission Winnow logo, Mr. Fabio Novembre.
Thank you.
Thank you. Looks fantastic on the bike, I'm sure you'll agree, pointing towards the future. You stay with us up on stage, Fabio, because there's a final request. And to complete our lineup up here on the stage, I'd like to call on three more key components in Ducati's success this season. Please put your hands together for Ducati Corsi Sporting Director Paolo Ciabatti, Mission Winnow Ducati Team Manager Davide Tardozzi, and Ducati MotoGP Test Rider Michele Pirro. Thank you very much, Paolo and Davide. take a step forward. We want to see you in the light a little bit, Paolo. But, you know, we've seen the technical guys, we've seen the bikes and the riders. It looks to me like all the key elements are in place for a successful season. Would you agree?
Yeah, actually, I agree. I think we have a very well-balanced team. I think a very competitive team with two riders who are very fast, but also they can work together, as Gigi said. So I think this is the best setup to achieve the best possible result, which is fighting to win the championship. And if this bike is as fast as it looks great, in my opinion, I think it's going to be a great season.
It's the key, isn't it, as well? Davide, as team manager, how excited does it make you to see your riders in full colours, full kit, on the bikes, ready to go for 2019? Does that excite you?
Yeah, very exciting looking the red bike in this really red color, very aggressive. So, very difficult to speak after Claudio and Gigi that already explained what is the passion, technology, and the support we have and the talent we have. So, in this moment, I'm so excited looking forward for the next test.
And you mentioned talent there, Davide. On the end is MotoGP test rider for Ducati, Michele Pirro. And Michele, you're going to be the first one to ride this bike. When we go to Sepang in just over a week's time, when you do that shakedown test, how are you and how much are you looking forward to the next challenge?
Yes, it's my seventh season with Ducati team. I'm recovery from the operation to the shoulder, and every day I feel better. I'm really happy because every year we have improved the bike and the result. We know that every year is more difficult, but we are ready, and we are ready, and I cannot wait to be in Sepang for test this beautiful bike that I know I tested in Valencia last year and have a good potential for battle for the title. And good luck to Dovi and Danilo for this season.
And good luck to you as well for testing, ladies and gentlemen. Michele Pirro, Davide Tardozzi and Paolo Ciabatti. Let's have a round of applause for them. Thanks to you all. And actually, to complete the family photo, let's welcome back up onto the stage Mirek Zielinski, Claudio Domenicali and Gigi Dall'Igna. Let's get them back up as well on stage to join. Let's have another round of applause. Why not? You know what, I'm going to ask you while you're all up here, what do you think? Mirek, what do you think of the bike and how it looks?
I can't be more proud seeing this. And the fact that we are in our cube is really heart-touching.
Claudio,
thank you, Claudio, for this opportunity.
It looks fantastic, doesn't it?
Yeah, normally I think that the bike that looks good, other bike that are fast. So actually, let's wait and see the result in Sepang. The bike are not bad. But let's see if they're fast enough.
And Gigi, you know more than any of us that what's underneath that good-looking bike is also looking good as well. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, honestly speaking, I'm really proud about this bike, and I'm really proud about the people that do this bike.
Thank you very much to everybody, for all of us, all of you who have been on stage. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen, your Mission Winnow Ducati team and its riders in situ and ready for the 2019 campaign. It's exciting times for everyone, of course. Many thanks to those of you at home and around the world as well who have joined us to watch this presentation. And for you, those of you here in Switzerland, you're going to have the opportunity now to take a few photos with the riders on board their bikes and meet the team and speak to everybody here as well. So on behalf of everyone watching, who's watching you in this room and back home as well, I'd like to wish you all the very best on what will be a challenging, long season that you've all got ahead of you. And we're excited to see if you can make that final step towards glory this year in 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mission Winnow Ducati and the season is not far away. Let's give them all a big round of applause and all the best for 2019. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Good evening.